He just returned to India after completing his education in America. His mother, Annapurna, loves Siddharth very much, who is close to Sapa Sidhu. Sidhu's return was immediately given the responsibility to lead the Annapurneshwari Group company in Bangalore. His mother has always led the company with love. All employees are considered like family. It was proven when Sidhu was asked to walk around the factory. There was an employee whose baby cried at work. His mother didn't let it happen. We work hard for our children, don't we? It's wrong if we keep making our children cry, he said. Unfortunately, his mother's fate at that time, the syringe used was twisted by the machine, causing an accident. Sidhu immediately ran his mother, who fainted, to the hospital. Sidhu was very scared if anything happened to his mother. Since childhood, Sidhu was only raised by his mother after her father died. The memory of a mother's great service has always lingered in Siddharth's mind, from when he was a child until he was an adult. Sidhu's mother did not visit to realize that she was in a coma since the incident at the factory. Sidhu took his mother to various famous hospitals in the world, but did not visit. There was a change. The doctor had passed away. Sidhu did not want to give up. He took his mother to traditional medicine, but the results were more disappointing. Sidhu was even advised to take his mother home to wait for the death to come. I don't know how his mother can recover. Sidhu can only cry about what happened. The rain that fell made his heart tremble. A religious man named Swama pulled Sidhu's hand so he wouldn't sit under a tree. The action saved Sidhu's life from lightning, as if Swama already knew the danger that would happen. Not only that, Swama can also read Sidhu's troubles, even though Sidhu has not said anything. According to Swama, Sidhu never did anything for his mother's recovery. There is one solution if Sidhu wants his mother to recover. Sidhu must leave all the wealth and respect he has received from his mother. You have to live like a prostitute for 48 days. No one should know your identity and reason for prostitution. Can you live as a prostitute for your mother's recovery? Asked Swama. If Sidhu wants to do all that, his mother will definitely recover. Because of such natural laws, you have to be willing to give something if you want to get something. The money earned from prostitution must also be donated every day. Sidhu hesitated to do what Swama said, but at night he had a dream. His mother woke up from a coma. His mother admitted that she didn't want to die. I want to spend more time with you, son. Do you want to save your mother? Said the mother. The dream seemed real to Sidhu. Now he is sure to follow Swama's advice. Sidhu will do anything for his mother, including living as a prostitute. At that time, Sidhu's uncle, Putapa, came to bring a company financial report that was in loss because Sidhu was not focused on work. Putapa suggested that Sidhu sell 2 factories. Without thinking long, the suggestion was agreed. Next, Sidhu made a request to his secretary, Rajesh. Sidhu will go out of town for 48 days. Rajesh is not allowed to look for him. The business problem was handed over to Rajesh. Sidhu went to leave his house in another city. All goods were left in the taxi. The wallet was also given to the prostitute at the temple. Except for the mother's photo that was kept. Sidhu's new life started at 11 o'clock. Sidhu trains himself to be a prostitute, but it's not easy, especially for him who has been in debt all this time. Sidhu needs a mental breakdown because many people don't respect prostitutes. Sidhu was even slapped by people because he was considered young but demanding. On the first day, Sidhu failed to get money. To fight hunger, Sidhu was forced to eat the wrapped rice given by people. The next day, Sidhu came back to the temple. The prostitutes there thought Sidhu would give more money. But this time Sidhu actually wanted to join the prostitution. Although confused, the prostitutes accepted Sidhu as a new person. His face was quite shabby and looked like he was polished to be ugly. Sidhu was also taught how to ask for alms so that people could feel sorry. Finally, Sidhu was able to get money from the prostitute. The money was used to call Rajesh to ask about his mother. But there was no development. Sidhu then saw a beautiful girl helping the victim of an accident. The girl's name is Bindu, played by Ms. Vika Naidu. Bindu, what are you doing? The kindness of the girl's heart made Sidhu fascinated, especially when the girl's photo was sent to someone to be his wife's candidate. Unfortunately, there was no introduction that day. Sidhu continued his activities as a prostitute with others. They did that profession until 6 o'clock in the afternoon. The rest are free to do anything. He also lives in a place for senior prostitutes. That night, Sidhu entered a cafe. It turns out that the pizza cafe was just opened and managed by Bindu. The cafe atmosphere is quiet. Sidhu became the first customer. Now Sidhu is becoming more and more professional in his profession as a prostitute. The result is not forgotten to be donated to God. On his way home, he was chased by 3 prostitutes, even though he had admitted that he was only a prostitute. Sidhu did not want to fight even though he was treated harshly. The situation of the prostitutes became more and more excessive. Sidhu's mother's photo was taken. Then she talked about women in the photo. Sidhu's blood became hot. Sidhu beat 2 prostitutes who were talking about his mother, while another prostitute named Manja chose to hide. The prostitute in front of Sidhu was just a piece of dust. To ensure that the prostitution activity went smoothly for 48 days, Sidhu made a work calendar at his place. Prostituting and donating the results to God is done every day. One day, Sidhu saw Bindu again. This time the girl was facing a problem. Bindu's motorcycle accidentally hit the car in front of him. The owner of the car, who was rich, was angry and insulted Bindu. Although Bindu apologized and wanted to pay the loss, but the person continued to complain. Bindu is considered poor and will not be able to pay the loss. Sidhu raised his voice. He doesn't like it when rich people complain. In fact, a crappy car can only be claimed through insurance. The used car is actually cheap, so it is not worth being arrogant. You insult a girl because you feel rich. Your car doesn't pay the taxes here, he said. People are ashamed of themselves and choose to go. Everyone praises Sidhu. When the officers pass by asking about his profession, Sidhu's friend just nods if they work in the stock market. Sidhu is getting closer to all the prostitutes. He also helped a crazy prostitute named Geeta when she wanted to rape Preman. Sidhu beat Preman until he ran away. It turns out that Geeta is not crazy. Sidhu found out just pretending. Geeta was then taken to a mental hospital so that her safety was maintained for a while. There Sidhu met Bindu again. The two of them began to befriend. Bindu told that he would immediately close his own pizza cafe because there were few visitors. Sidhu wanted to help. He will cook because Sidhu has always been a cooking hobby. Sidhu's pizza is very delicious, so the cafe is managed by Bindu with his friends, so there are many visitors. Love in Bindu's heart also grows fertile. The two of them are getting more and more together. However, when they took a selfie, Bindu deleted the photo only because there was a prostitute. Bindu did not realize that the man next to him was also currently professing as a prostitute. Although the profession of a prostitute is embarrassing, sometimes it also brings good luck. For example, when there is a police raid, Sidhu, who shook Bindu, could pass after the police knew his profession. It is impossible for the police to ask for help from a prostitute. Bindu began to question Sidhu's profession, but Sidhu did not answer. Bindu himself did not care much about Sidhu's profession as long as he was not a prostitute. Next, Sidhu was invited by the community of prostitutes to be able to eat deliciously at a wedding. They dress well, with fakes as an invitation. The prostitutes can eat deliciously as they please. Unfortunately, the trick was revealed. The bride's family recognized them as prostitutes. Roughly, all the prostitutes were driven away like animals. Sidhu did not leave him. Prostitutes should not be treated roughly. Sidhu then apologized, but the purpose of the prostitutes who came was not malicious, they just wanted to eat deliciously. One of the bride's family then asked, "Who is Sidhu?" "I am one of them, I am a prostitute." Sidhu's answer was a step away. Sidhu was too late to realize if Bindu also heard his answer. Yes. Bindu and her friends were at the location of the event. Bindu's heart was broken to find out that Sidhu was actually a prostitute. Sidhu felt guilty to Bindu. Suddenly he was beaten up without resistance, then brought to a place. Apparently, it was a gang of prostitutes who had been beaten by Sidhu a few days ago. The prostitutes did not accept it because they were beaten by a prostitute. Their gang leader, Ritu, wanted revenge. But what happened was the opposite. Sidhu beat Ritu to a pulp. Even though previously he was drunk, the gang members couldn't hold their laughter, seeing Ritu drooling. Meanwhile, Bindu became very embarrassed and angry after finding out that Sidhu was a prostitute. He met Sidhu to ask him to stop prostituting. Sidhu was offered a job at a cafe run by Bindu. Sidhu couldn't follow Bindu's request, but he couldn't explain his reason either, because it was an obstacle. Bindu was getting angrier and angrier. Sidhu himself still wanted to get rid of Nazar. Moreover, he saw on television that many women were gathering in Bukit Kamundi. They came to pray for the owner of the Annapurna company who was sick. A woman who is already old is also willing to come to pray for the recovery of Ibu Sidhu, Annapurna. "He is not my boss, he is like my son. Don't raise Bukit. I am also willing to sacrifice my life for him," said a woman. Seeing the concern of the men, Sidhu contacted Rajas, asking to cancel the plan to sell the factory. The decision of course made Puttappa angry. Coincidentally at that time, Puttappa was outside the city. He saw Sidhu asking for it, but when he was looking for it, it couldn't be found anymore. Puttappa wanted to kill Sidhu so that the company could be controlled. He paid the premium group led by Arun Kalap, who was actually defeated by Sidhu. Apparently, it wasn't just Puttappa who targeted Sidhu's life. The doctor who owns the mental hospital where Geeta was admitted, Ram Naik, had come to the same place to kill Sidhu. The reason is that Geeta knows the bad practice of the hospital, that the patient there was made as a new drug test. Some patients have even died. Geeta and the people who carried her. Sidhu must be secured immediately. Arun Kalap was surprised by the target given. Was he such a cheater when his life was targeted? Strangely enough, the fruit boy was once defeated. Kalap and the fruit boy then came to Sidhu's place. The food given to the cheater had been mixed with medicine so that Sidhu was weak, so there was no resistance. Sidhu can be secured. Sidhu was beaten and tortured to speak his real identity. Sidhu still kept his mouth shut. Sidhu also had to give up Geeta according to Ram Naik's orders. But soon Sidhu could escape from that place. Sidhu was found by Bindu. The girl felt guilty for her behavior. Bindu looked for her there, until finally Sidhu was found in the middle of the cold due to the rain. Bindu gave a raincoat and money. Then wanted to go. Sidhu can't accept money like that. Money will be accepted if Bindu gives it in the form of charity. Bindu cried when she saw Sidhu waving at her. After being at home, Bindu's mother was surprised to see a photo of Bindu with a man on her laptop. The man's face is not strange, and it is true that the person meant by Sidhu's full name is Siddharth Sivakumar, the only child of the owner of the Annapurneswari company in Bangalore. His mother recognized Sidhu's face because Bindu's photo had been sent to be his wife's candidate. But there was no answer until now. Bindu was touched, happy to hear the fact. It was really unexpected. The lover who was loved turned out to be a billionaire. Sidhu himself had to face the policeman who targeted him again. In fact, a day later, his gaze would be cut off. Sidhu beat the policeman for the payment. This time there was no forgiveness. Because they had also been rude to other dressmakers. Sidhu's handphone fell unconscious and was taken by the police. Sidhu chased him, but Rajesh suddenly came. Rajesh looked for Sidhu after meeting her husband, a wise man who suggested Sidhu to be a tailor. Sidhu, follow me. His mother is struggling for her life. He could die, Rajesh said. It hurts Sidhu's heart to hear it. What is being done now? Because the doctor himself has given up, Sidhu's wealth is unable to cure his mother. Rajesh judged that Sidhu took a stupid action. The proof is that his mother's health condition is not getting better, but getting worse. Sidhu, your mother's condition is getting more and more critical. You have to accompany her at times like this. Don't regret not being with her on her last days, Rajesh said. Sidhu still doesn't want to go home. His gaze will end tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Sidhu will no longer be a dressmaker after that. Apparently Bindu interrupted Sidhu and Rajesh's conversation. He went home full of pride without greeting Sidhu. Bindu now knows the reason Sidhu became a dressmaker. Bindu took the initiative to send a voice message to Sidhu's number. Bindu will accompany her lover for a day tomorrow, including her last activity as a dressmaker. Bindu doesn't know if Sidhu's cell phone is in Arun Kale's hands. Sidhu's identity has been identified by her enemies. Sidhu must be finished before she returns to being herself. Because if not, Sidhu can destroy anyone with her influence. Ramnik will also urge the police to arrest Sidhu. Sidhu's last day as a dressmaker arrived. He asked for it as usual. Bindu came to help. He wanted to accompany Sidhu all day. Bindu then talked about Sidhu's last day as a dressmaker. That surprised Sidhu. How could Bindu know the secret? The conversation was stopped with the arrival of Arun Kale and his son Bania. Sidhu fought them all. He looked fierce and terrifying. Kale was also beaten to a pulp. Bindu stopped Sidhu's violence and took him away. Kale still wanted to kill Sidhu from behind. Unfortunately, the knife pierced Bindu's neck. Kale then ran away. Meanwhile, Bindu was taken to the hospital. The doctor there did not want to treat Bindu, especially since the person who took her looked poor. Sidhu promised to pay all the hospital bills after 11 o'clock. Doctor then asked what Sidhu's job was. Sidhu admitted to being a dressmaker. The answer made the doctor leave because a dressmaker would never be able to pay. Sidhu was confused about what to do. He was really in a dilemma. Meanwhile, Bindu's condition was getting more and more worrisome. Bindu was stiff. He was on the brink of death. Bindu was stiff. Sidhu couldn't stand it anymore. There were only two options: save Bindu's life now or continue to prioritize Nazar. With a heavy heart, Sidhu chose to save Bindu's life. Sidhu will teleport Rajas to manage the hospital bills. It means that the sacrifices so far will be in vain in the last minute. Fortunately, Sidhu's dressmaker friends came. They brought all the receipts for the request. Nazar Sidhu was safe. Bindu was also immediately handled by the doctor. The problem was solved, but the police inspector who was rented by Ramnik came to arrest Sidhu. About 3 minutes later at 11 o'clock, Sidhu asked for permission to donate his dress results that day before being taken to the police station. The inspector allowed it, but his attitude was very low and insulted Sidhu. After the money was donated, it was shown at 11 o'clock. Nazar Sidhu was finished. He managed to be a dressmaker for 48 days. Sidhu was then dragged to the police station. At that time, Rajas also came and saw what happened. Rajas scolded the police. Sidhu also immediately obtained personal control. Sidhu, who is known as a dressmaker, is now back as Sadat, a billionaire. Everyone was shocked, including the dressmakers. The police inspector and the doctor also apologized. Now Sidhu is treated with respect after being identified as a rich man. While Sidhu's enemies, his fate ended tragically. The owner of a mental hospital, Ramnik, was arrested by the police. The killers of Arun Kale and Paman Sidhu, Putapa, were also arrested for wanting to kill Sidhu. Next, Sidhu went home to see his mother. His mother's condition was to wait for her death. Sidhu was very sad to see his sacrifice could not heal his mother's wound. Sidhu could only cry. His mother did not give any response. Sidhu then raised his hand again. He acted like a dressmaker, begging his mother to wake up. "Please, ma'am, stay with me for a few more days. Please have mercy on me," he said. And at that time, the power of God came. His mother's hands began to move. Sidhu's sacrifice and faith were not in vain. His mother could wake up. 6 months have passed. Sidhu's dressmaker friends became factory workers. Sidhu himself lived happily with his mother and Bindu. When Sidhu called his business friends, Sidhu did not realize that a dressmaker came to ask for alms. His mother then advised Sidhu not to hire a dressmaker. Their lives were difficult. If there was money, they should have been helped. It was not the dressmaker who was left waiting. Their lives were very painful. "We will not be able to live as a dressmaker even for a day," said Ibu Sidhu. Bindu and Sidhu were silent to hear that. His mother did not know if his recovery was due to the great sacrifice of Sidhu. The sacrifice of living as a dressmaker for 48 days.